Oh, that was pretty heavy-duty stuff. Yes, I'm part of Mike's night crew. I'm going to work after I get done here. Well, thank you for coming. It's great to see all of you. We're going to have a good night. I just wanted to dress comfy and try to enjoy the night, so put on the best comfy clothes I had, and here I am. So just love me for who I am, and we'll go from there. Does that sound fair enough? But it's been interesting kind of watching where we've gone over this subject of anger and watching the Hatfields and McCoys and trying to get an idea of where I maybe wanted to take us and some things that maybe we could share. And a lot of things, as usual, have been coming my direction and hearing a lot of different voices and most of them, I feel, are very strong voices from God himself as to which direction he wants us to go. And so, is there anybody here besides me that, well, let me tell you, that's ready for some change in your life? Or is that kind of a basic? Okay, I mean, please help me. Yes, thank you. So, here's what I'm going to tell you, where I'm going to share tonight is, I've been a Christian I'm 51, so I don't even know. Basically born and raised, and that's all I've ever known and I'm going to flat out tell you some of the things that I'm sharing tonight. I have started to process and started to figure out, and believe it or not, were first brought to my attention in a class that I started taking about 5 weeks ago. So if you are ready to make some major changes in your life, hang on. I know that Mike kind of gave you the teaser last week of the prayer that changes everything. That's where we're going. So if you're ready to change everything, if you're ready to change this battle with anger, if you're ready to change the battle with relationships and broken relationships and that ongoing struggle, hang on. I think if you are willing to just listen throughout the whole night, keep your ears open, I think you'll hear some things that literally will change. And I don't care if you have been sitting in a church pew for as long as me or longer, I think there are some things that we can all hear. So are we queued up and ready to go with that first slide? First slide, we're going to kind of start the process. So somewhere, I didn't give you pieces of paper yet because I wanted your full attention. So somewhere, maybe find a little notebook somewhere that you can write down Peter. I believe it's 1 Peter. Specifically, 1 Peter 2 verse 9, proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Oh yeah, there's the one. Nice job. I asked my son to do this for me, and I don't look at it or check it just to make sure that it's all okay, so we'll hope it's even in the right order. So proclaim the praises, so I'm going, okay, I can hear some of your thought processes already. We're going to be talking about praise tonight. I'll just lay it on the table in the first 2 minutes. And for some of you, you're going, crap, you're checking out. I knew I should have gone to the football game. Or some of you are thinking, because to be honest, I think in our society, myself leading the way, we don't have a very good concept or idea what praise really is all about. See if any of these fit you, because about 2 of them fit me real strong, and the others, depending on the day or the moment. But for some of us, praise is the fast songs before the slow ones at a church service. Or praise might be kind of the appetizer before the meat of the sermon in the form of music. Or praise might be when you see on TV or at church when somebody's raising their hands. Or praise might be during a song or during a prayer you hear, or maybe you yourself, praise you, Jesus, is coming, murmuring from your lips. All things that are praise. But I'm going to suggest to you, and we're going to go tonight to places where I want it to be more than that. I want it to just be an act. I want it to be a way of living, because I think when we think about, again, always under the umbrella of the context of what we're talking about, anger, dealing with issues, dealing with hurt, dealing with pain, that's the general umbrella that we're working under, and we're looking to try to make some changes out of that. So here's what I want you to know. Worship and praise is the purest form of prayer. Here's why. Because it focuses our mind and souls away from ourselves and on to God, our Creator. It focuses our mind from Him. So here's a bunch of different sayings, some of which, Man, he really screwed me over. Man, I feel like I'm cheated. I'm ticked at them. If I kept going, there'd be one common denominator to that, isn't there? When you think about anger, if you think about the discussions we've already had about anger, it's me, it's how I feel, it's I've gotten ripped off, it's somebody wronged me, it's something's not going right, it's me, it's me, it's me, it's I, everything's right here. That's why I can guarantee you, flat out guarantee you, if you tap into this and take your eyes off of here, and again, I'm telling you, I've just started to figure this out in the last 5 weeks, and move it to here, your life will change. So the question is going to be at the end of the night, are you really ready to jump on board for change? Or are you just saying, well, yeah, that'd be nice and convenient? For those of you who were here a few weeks ago, you're going to kind of come back. The whole breaking the pots thing is going to keep coming back. There's going to be a theme here for some of these things. They all fit together. You'd think that the good Lord just comes up with rampant ideas. Everything is kind of weaved together. When you start figuring out kind of the weave, life becomes a little bit different. So what is communicated when we praise? I got 5 different things here. Pure love, devotion, reverence, appreciation, and thankfulness to God. So praise welcomes God's presence into our midst. It says in the Bible that one of the wonderful things about God is that He lives in our praise. Remember that. Write that down. Keep that. That's key, because that's key to the whole thing working the way I'm going to explain it to you. Because He inhabits the praises of His people. So what an awesome gift. When we praise and worship God, His presence comes to dwell amongst us, and when that happens, things change. Always. You can count on it. So if you go to that next slide, here's what's going to happen. Hearts change, situations change, lives change, minds change, attitudes change. Every time you and I praise God, something either changes within you, or your circumstances will change, or the people that you're dealing with around you, they will change. Now here's where you got to have faith, because we may not always see it immediately, but we got to trust, because here's the key line. It's impossible, flat out impossible, to be in the presence of God and not have change. So if you want change, invite the presence of God, which means praise Him. I don't like to praise Him. I'm not into singing. Guess what? Can I be blunt? Do it anyway. Figure it out, and we're going to get there. Hang with me. Figure it out. Because praise is the prayer that changes everything. Because when God inhabits, that equals change. The opposite is just as true. And this is my life when things just don't seem to work out, when I can't get over the anger issues, when relationships stay broken, and no matter what I do, things don't change. And that is this: no God, no change. You know, one of the things Steve Hierman talked about was, he talked about, recognize that there's anger. I'm not saying that this is a feel-good thing. I'm not saying that, the praise is just going to, it's not a quick fix. But I'm saying that, he talked about just let it go. So when he was talking about that, knowing that I was kind of heading this direction, I'm thinking, okay, that sounds great. Doesn't a lot of times when you hear a speaker, it sounds really good. And sometimes I sit there and struggle, and I'm going, okay, what's the next step tomorrow morning? So what does it literally mean? For me, I can tell you, when it's let it go, if we're talking anger specifically, it means to eyes off of me and bring praise to Him. So let's go to... here's a bunch of different things that praise is. You're not going to jot them all down, but I just want you to listen. I'm going to read them rather fast. But I wanted to include all these. I think we got some slides of these guys, so you can see them if you can. So praise is a privilege. Praise is an opportunity for an open-hearted discussion toward our Creator. Praise is a gift, one that comes from God in order to help us draw closer to God. Praise is the pathway to the throne room of the King. Praise honors God. Praise brings deliverance. Praise is the voice of faith. Praise is the language of heaven. Praise sets the stage for God to move. Praise releases the angels to minister. Praise fuels joy, which is your strength. Praise knocks down the walls of resistance. Praise stills the enemy and the avenger. Praise dispels darkness and depression. Praise must proceed but not follow blessings. It can as well, but it must proceed, or precede rather. Praise brings the presence of God onto the scene. Praise is the highway that faith moves its blessings down. Gang, when you want change, I just laid it out for you. Every one of those things is about change and making a difference in your life. So if you truly want, so we got to figure out as men, how can I praise? What does that look like for me? So it's kind of interesting. Praise is like putting on a clean set of clothes. You know, the clothes that look good, smell good, you're ready to roll. Isaiah 61 says, God gives us the garment of praise instead of the spirit of despair. So when you feel anger, when you feel like you're wronged, when your attitude about life just plain sucks, can I call it that in a men's ministry? Put on the garment of praise. So here's the deal. It requires a choice. If you look at Colossians 3, do I have that on a slide, guys? Nope. So I'm going to read it to you. Colossians, if you've got a Bible, grab it. We're going to read it together because it's actually Colossians 3, 1 through 13. It's in the New Testament after Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts. You'll find it eventually. I'll read slow and you can catch up. Since then you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things, not on who messed with me, not on who angered me, not on who upset me, not on who ripped me off, not on what I'm upset about, not who I've got a broken... Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. So, for you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. For Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Underline this one. Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, greed, which is adultery. I think we can put anger. We can put a long litany list of earthly things there. Because of these, the wrath of God is coming. You used to walk in these ways in the life you once lived, but now you must also rid yourself of such things as these. Here we go. Anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices and have put on a new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of the Creator. Here there is no Gentile or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and is in all. Verse 12, therefore, gentlemen, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Clothe yourself. Clothe yourself, clothe yourself. So how do you do that? How do you do that? It requires a choice. So here's the deal. Literally, there was a reason. I apologize. We're going to go off mic for a second. Literally, you have to make the choice, fellas, to take off the crap and choose a life of praise. My wife said, "You're really not going to do this." I said, "Yep, I am." So, you literally have to choose. Some of you guys don't like wearing a tie. Some of you guys don't like to pray. Do it anyway. We're commanded to live a life of praise. You've seen the results. We've listed them. We've talked about them. We've shared them. Who's ready to enjoy them? So here's the deal. Here's the deal. We got to finish the deal here. I got the whole 9 yards here. We're going to put the suit on completely. I even brought shoes. So, it's not easy. You're going to have to make some choices. You may get ridiculed a little bit for wearing a shirt and tie or living a life of praise, but you know what? It's worth it. You want to be blessed and then you want to be able to bless others? It's to live a life of praise. Now here comes the key component. Remember the broken pots? Here's where these two stories kind of fit together. Because you know what? Literally, as gross as these are, now I had to make this one a little worse than usual just for the effect, but I like these. When I come home and life sometimes kind of stinks, I would really rather wear this than this. So if you're thinking of a word picture, most of us don't mind this. In fact, a lot of us, I'll try to get Mike back up again here quick, without killing everything. A lot of us, here's where we live. Yeah, Brian, that sounds like a great idea. But I'm going to keep those right there. You know what? Sometimes life is pretty good. And sometimes I like to just kind of waller in the old stuff. And sometimes I like to just put it on because it feels good and it's more comfortable and life is easier. Just to go hang with the guys and just to be me and to forget this life of praise stuff. But I'm asking you to cinch up the tie and live a life of praise. Here's what you need to do. Not going to surprise you. I think I destroyed my garbage bag. But much like when the pot is broken and then expecting to put it back together like what I want to put it, again, guess what? We got to get rid of it. You got to get rid of it. We just read about it in Colossians. You got to get rid of the old self. You got to die to self. That's what it means. Die to self. You can't leave the junky old ones hanging around. You can't leave it to where it's easy to go back to. Whatever that is, you got to get, whoa! That's coordination is what that is. So we got to get rid of it. Literally or figuratively. Let's go to the slide with 1 Thessalonians. Jot this one down, fellas. Let this be your theme verse. In fact, I've got a copy of it for you. 1 Thessalonians 5, 16 and 18. Be joyful always. Pray continually. Give thanks to God in all things. Not for all things. You don't have to be thankful for all things, but in. What? Are you kidding me? In every situation I need to be thankful? Yep. You need to have an attitude and a spirit of praise. Because praise is not about you and me. It's about God. It takes your eyes off of you and focuses on God. Here's kind of another way of putting it. Worshiping God is the way He can pry us loose from ourselves and make us stop holding on to the world and start holding on to Him. Let's go to that next slide with this diagram. Here's a little bit of teaching for those of you who are engineer types. Really, this is part of the class so jot this down somewhere on a piece of paper if you got it, because literally if you can follow this, and part of this will all kind of come back together. Starts down here in the bottom left corner with praise. If you live a life of praise, if that is your first reaction to situations, in fact, if it is, how about preventative medicine? We all hear it. So, yes, I would love to see you see the benefits, and I'd love to see you moving toward and seeing some of the same things that I've seen, some of the blessings that I've seen as you have reaction to things, have your first reaction. The old 3-second rule, I can react or I can turn it to praise. I'd love to, I can already tell you some stories of my life, just in work, just around home, just in situations, just in traffic, just as people annoy me. You know what? I've got 3 seconds. And I can either be annoyed, angry, upset, or I can go to praise. Because if you go to praise, that will affect your prayer life. Your prayer life, as that has changed, your faith has increased. As your faith has increased, your attitudes and actions are affected, and ultimately evil can be overcome. Starts with praise. Our greatest blessing comes when we take the focus off of ourselves and put it entirely on God and in worship and praise. Isn't that just like our wonderful Lord? To make something that's supposed to be all about Him actually the thing that blesses us the most. So praise is the prayer that changes everything. So one of the things that I want to do, I'm going to have Steve play a short video, because I'm going to suggest to myself, and I thought, you know what, if it fits me, I bet there's a couple other guys in here. I really don't think I know how to worship God, because I wasn't sure I knew Him. And so I've got some different things, but I want you to watch this video. And I get fired up just watching it. So are we anywhere close, Steve, to being able to play it? So this is called stalling time. But we don't have to be perfect. So that's your king. But do we know him that well, or is he just something that's out there? Because when he's just something that's out there that we really don't know, praise and worship is hard. You don't know where to go. But when you listen to those attributes, and I'm going to give you some things from the Bible, when you start understanding who it is that you're worshiping, who it is that has created you, this praise thing is not near the difficulty that I made it out to be, and for a lifetime. And it's just been so fun the last few weeks, trying to be, you know what? Because you know what? Just like changing the clothes, you have to be very diligent, and you have to. It doesn't just happen by accident. And praise isn't going to just happen by accident. It has to be a conscious decision that you go to move forward with that. So let's kind of wrap things up here. When you and I make our first reaction or our life to whatever happens in our lives, praise to God for who He is and what He's done, we invite His presence to inhabit the situation and His power to come and change things. That's what I was missing. It was all about me, my problems, and my power to change it. Me, my anger issues, and my power to change it. And I wasn't very good at it. I could hide a lot, because I could laugh a lot of things off. And I could skirt under the issue of trying to be funny and joke comedian. You know what? But it wasn't working. That hidden power is actually found in praising God. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you could go to the next slide, we're going to start our table time a little bit differently. I'm going to ask you guys, there are tons of, so here's kind of the deal. Again, I've asked multiple people, everything from ministers to, so how do you praise? You're going to see on one of the questions here, so Mike, if you would come and help me get started passing these out, if you guys would come and help me with some of these. One of the questions that I'm going to ask and propose for you guys to discuss at your table is, how is it that you praise? How do you currently praise? If you're not a singer, if you're not into music, now what? You know, that seems to be the only logical way to praise. So we're going to kind of go down some of those roads. I got some things that I want you to take home. Because I think beyond the singing, beyond the turning on your favorite Christian radio station, beyond, what I want us to do here is, I want each table group to just take a couple of these psalms, and then when you get your piece of paper, I'm going to encourage you to write the other ones down. Because I want you to literally, as a group, whether it's the leader or whether you're taking turns or whatever that is, I want you to go to these. I challenge you for the next 30 days. You know how you quite often hear about, reading the book of Proverbs, because there's 31 chapters. And you know what? We're going to make a little different challenge tonight. I challenge you to write down some of these psalms. If you're struggling to, okay, I don't know how to praise, start here. Make these your prayers. Make these your prayers. And then I'm going to give each of you a laminated thing. And on one end of it is 7 reasons to praise Jesus as Lord. So you can start your prayer. I mean, I'm sitting there when I started this, when I first heard this idea, it was like, okay, I want to praise you. I want to praise you. No music, but I want to praise you. What do I do next? And so the idea behind this is to give you, and there are tons of different things. Everything, because because of Jesus I'm forgiven, because of Jesus I have peace with God. I mean, So if you want to praise Him, I've given you some ideas here. I've got the 1 Thessalonians verse written down for you, so that can become a memory verse. Be joyful always. Pray continually. Give thanks in all circumstances. And then on the back are 14 other reasons if you really are struggling. So you can just go with your prayer life. Make this your prayer card for the next 30 days. Make this your prayer card for the 30 days. Find these Psalms, and in addition to these guys, you can write Psalm 146, 147, 148, 149 down as well. Read them. Just read through them. Let them soak over you. So we're going to start our discussion time. I want you to just, like I said, I think I said anyway, just pick out randomly a couple of these Psalms and read them together. Kind of set the stage of your conversation around praise. And then I'm going to ask you to end your conversation with a different one of those Psalms. But let's just kind of go through and kind of share a little bit about where you are as far as praise and where that fits into your life. So go ahead and have some discussion time, and then at the end I'm going to have a couple of other sheets for you guys to take home. So jump right in, and we'll see where your discussion goes, but start with those Psalms.